All right, week 9, day 2. Had our second multiple choice exam today. It was 25 questions, which is a little shorter than I thought it was going to be, which makes me a little bit nervous just because less margin for error. But you know, hopefully I did well. I feel pretty confident on it. There was only 1 or 2 questions roughly in there that I was a little bit iffy on. One was like an insulin question, I think, and then the other one had to do with like the order and mechanisms of acid base, I believe. Not 100% positive. But overall, I feel pretty confident. Signed up for the oral exam, which I have next Wednesday, so a week for today. So I'm going to try to study a little bit more for that. Probably use these next 3 videos just to kind of brain dump on. So that way I feel a little bit better prepared when I'm having a conversation with Dr. Hyde. So for day 2, did my dynamic warm-up. Barbell overhead press for 5 sets of 5. Barbell deadlift, I use the hex bar. I just prefer the hex bar. Puts my hands in a neutral grip rather than being over-pronated. Don't round my shoulders as much. And then decline sit-ups for 3 sets of 8 instead of a 5x5 today. I did those weighted, even though my program doesn't call for that, but you gotta do a little extra every now and then. So gonna kind of try to walk everything I can think of off the top of my head right now that we've learned up until this point that might be on the oral exam. So as far as like cell signaling, I know that the posterior pituitary only secretes the ADH and the oxytocin. ADH is like our antidiuretic hormone, so that's gonna kind of regulate our blood plasma levels. Oxytocin is gonna be usually used during like childbirth. And then we have our FSH, growth hormone, luteinizing hormone. FSH, luteinizing hormone, growth hormone. A couple other ones, gonna have to go over those. So all those are gonna be involved in our cell signaling. Cell signaling is like sending text messages to try to elicit a response to the body. Binding sites need to be kind of like a lock and key. The shape needs to fit the actual size of that binding, hormone or whatever it is. This is what we use for like medicine. So if we're trying to use medicine to either replicate a response or block a response, that medicine will be in the shape of that signal or that hormone release, so it can bind to that site. Cardio, vascular physiology, as far as that goes, I know that the blood goes into the inferior and superior vena cava, down the tricuspid valve, or from that right atrium down the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle into the pulmonary valve, out to the lungs where it gets oxygenated and nutrients, comes back into the left atrium where it goes down the bicuspid valve into the left ventricle, where that left ventricle will then pump it out into the aortic valve, into the aorta, out through the rest of the circulatory system. Our electrical response is the SA node, and that travels through interarticulated discs and then goes through the AV node. That AV node carries that signal through the dead cell layer down into the ventricles, through the bundle of His, the 2 bundle branches, and then the Purkinje fibers, where it causes the ventricle contraction. And then I'll do a little bit more on the next couple videos.